त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिसुदेशिकेन्द्रं द्वैपायनं सूत्रकृतं मुनीन्द्रं श्रीशङ्करं भाष्यकृतं यतीन्द्रं मद्देशिकञ्चापि नमामि विद्यै। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहित प्रज्ञानगणः प्रत्यगर्तो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। Pranams everyone. We are in the second chapter, Sloka number 71. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vihaya Kamanya Sarvan Pumam Sharati Nisprihah Nirmamo Nirahankarah Sashantimadigachati. So here we are talking about, or Bhagavan is giving the Sthitha Prajna Lakshana. Arjuna had asked Sthitha, what is the Lakshana of Sthitha Prajna? Bhagavan started giving the answer from Sloka number 55. And then in between Bhagavan talked about how to attain Jnana Nishta. And then in the last 4 slokas again, Bhagavan is talking again about Sthitha Prajna Lakshana. And then in Sloka 69, Bhagavan said, a Sthitha Prajna or a Jnani is one who is awake to Advaita philosophy or Advaita Tattva, whereas the ignorant people are only sweet Dvaita in this world. And a Jnani is one who is able to see see everything in the same plane, as in an Advaitic Drishti. And then in 70, Bhagavan talked about how a Jnani's mind is so calm that all desires merge into that mind and lose its Swarupa. Just as the rivers enter an ocean and lose its Swarupa, the various rivers, in the same way, all desires enter the mind of Jnani, but it dissolves in the Swarupa of a Jnani. And therefore he attains peace. Sa apnoti shantim na kamakami. He is not a seeker of any desire. He does not desire any sense objects. Then in the Sloka 71 now, Bhagavan says, he is a Jnani, having given up all the sense objects, and he moves without any craving. Nisprihaha. We saw that in the last class. He leads his life without any craving. He does not seek anything from others. He does not get attached to anything attached to anything. And then we saw nirmamo nirahankaraha. Nirmamo means he does not have the notion of mine. This is mine. He does not claim ownership of anything held by others, even thing held by others. Where for an Ajnani like us, we would want to take ownership of things that are held by others also. Whereas for a Jnani, he does not even consider what he possesses to be his. And that's where we discussed about how to handle the things that we come across in this world. Anything that we possess, we take them to be that are objects given to us in trust. We have to take ourselves as a trustee. I'm just a trustee of the things that have been given to me by Ishvara for use. For me to use in this world. For me to gain punya, for me to spiritually progress. We had seen so far. Now we have to see nirahankaraha. Nirmamo means there is no sense of mine. There is no mamakara. Nirahankara means there is no ahankara. There is no notion of I for a jnani. So we can take two meanings for this. One, he does not have any garva, which means we say ahankaram illadavan. He does not have any pride. He does not have he does not even have a garva that he is a jnani. In fact, if someone feels that he has this garva that I am a jnani, then he is not a jnani at all. We'll take the example of even Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra wanted Vasishtha to recognize him as Brahma Rishi. But Vasishtha refused to call Vishwamitra as a Brahma Rishi. Later on, when Vishwamitra didn't give any importance to that he wanted Vasishtha to be addressing him as Brahma Rishi, only when he didn't give importance to that feeling, and when he himself did not want to feel that I am a Brahma Rishi, Vasishtha called Vishwamitra as a Brahma Rishi. So when we chase things in this world, it will refuse to come to us. When we let go of things, it will automatically come to us. Whatever we deserve, it will come to us. So nirahankara means one who does not have this feeling that he has achieved something in life. Even in the spiritual life, we have to be careful that this garva or pride does not enter us. And especially around Shastras, when we study a little, there is this Vidya garva that comes in. This garva of knowledge. Or even when we do some renunciation, when we let go of something, we have this garva. Or when we do dhanam, we say we get this garva. I have donated, I have given this person, or I have given this organization. A lot of times this pride comes in the way, and whenever pride comes in the way, it is a huge obstacle to spiritual progress. Whenever we take a sadhana, we want to announce it. We want to actually, when we started, say for example, we would have taken a sadhana of having upavasa for Ekadashi. Immediately we want to announce it to the people around us that I am actually undertaking upavasa. These are all pride that we want everybody to know, and we want to either people to acknowledge us, praise us, or pity us, or we want them our attention and respect. So we do all these kind of things. What are these? These are all called as ahankara. What is good renunciation? A good renunciation is one where where no one knows that we have renounced. We have to keep it as a secret. That's why in one sloka it is said that the benefit of renunciation is only possible or only got only if we do not let others know that we have renounced. Or rather, we lose the benefit of renunciation if we let others know that we have renounced. If someone praises me that, after I disclose to them that I am doing this tapas, then we will not get the real benefit of tapas. So, nirahankara means the jnani does not have any pride in spite of achieving the highest state. This is one meaning, nirahankara. The second meaning of nirahankara is the jnani is one who does not keep this notion of I on the body and mind. Typically, we all have this abhimana on this body and mind, and we want to train this body and mind to be I. Whereas a jnani does not have this notion of I on this body and mind. He has this notion of I only on the Atma. And this is the Vedantic definition for this sloka. Nirahankara means the one who does not have the notion of I on the Anatma. Ahankaraha means here having the notion of I on the body and mind. So Nirahankaraha means one who does not have this notion of Atma Buddhi on Anatma. One who does not have a body identification. Why is that so? It's very clear. Body is born out of these 5 elements. And this Panchabhutas, the body has come out of this Panchabhutas. For the survival, it requires the Panchabhutas. And finally, the body will be claimed by the Panchabhutas. So the body is not I. So Nirahankaraha, one who does not have this body identification. So Bhagavan says, Vihaya Kamanya Sarvan, having given up all the sense objects, having given up all the desires. Bhagavan keeps repeating this. Pumam Sharati Nispruhaha, one who moves without any craving. Not only he has given up any desires, there is no craving also in the mind for this person. Nirmamo Nirahankaraha, he does not claim ownership to anything, nor does he have any body identification. For him, what happens? Sashantim Adhigachati. Adhigachati Shantim. Adhigachati means he enjoys peace. He attains moksha. So Vihaya Sarvan Kamanya, Vihaya Kamanya Sarvan. So one who has given up all desires. Nisprihaha, one who has detached even from the basic things that he uses. He does not have craving. Even for Jeevanartham, whatever is needed, he does not have any craving on that. Nirmama, who does not claim any ownership. And then Nirahankaraha, one who does not have any garva, we can say, or one who does not have any body identification. Sa Shantim Adhigachati, he attains moksha. So this is the Sthita Prajna Lakshana in a single shloka. Now in the next shloka, Bhagavan concludes this chapter by praising this Jnana, and he also gives the benefit of this Jnana. So Jnana Stuti and Jnana Phala is given in the last shloka of this chapter. Sloka number 72. Yesha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Sthitvasyam Antakalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichati. Yesha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Sthitvasyam Antakalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichati. So in this shloka, there are 2 points that are being discussed. In the first line, there is Jnana Stuti. The greatness of Jnana is discussed. In the second line, Bhagavan talks about Videha Mukti. Videha Mukti. So moksha is two types. You can say Jeevan Mukti, Videha Mukti. Jeevan Mukti is one where the person attains jnana in this life as he is living, and he gets moksha because of that jnana. And moksha is defined as, we saw, Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha. One who revels in himself is the definition of moksha. So as he lives, he attains moksha. Then Videha Mukti is a person who has attained Jeevan Mukti. He continues to lead his life in this body until the prarabdha karma gets exhausted. And then after the death of this body, the jiva does not take another body. So not getting born again is called Videha Mukti. So Videha Mukti is possible for a person who has attained Jeevan Mukti. But after attaining Jeevan Mukti also, he will have to, this jiva will have to continue the life within this body until the prarabdha karma exhausts. So let's go to the sloka. Bhagavan says, Yesha Brahmi Sthiti Partha. Partha means, O Arjuna, Yesha Brahmi Sthiti. Yesha Brahmi Sthiti. Yesha means this. Brahmi Sthiti means this Brahman state, the state of Brahman. Or in other words, a Jeevan Mukti. Brahmi Sthiti means the state of mind born out of a thorough understanding of Vedanta. A person who has attained this Jnana of Aham Brahmasmi, that is called as Brahmi Sthiti. And how is it possible? Only through Atma Jnana, only through Vedanta Jnana. Only through that we can accomplish the state of mind. This person is called Sthitha Prajna. So this state of mind, Esha Brahmi Sthiti, this state of mind. And what is the state of mind? The state of mind which is born out of clear understanding of who I am. Who I am. Who I am is, where is it described? It is described in the same chapter, Sloka 12 to 25. This is Atma Swarupa. So this 12 to 25 is a very important set of slokas which we'll have to keep revising to understand what is Atma and for us to claim ourselves to be that Atma. Those 14 slokas are very important. So based on this, a Jnani enjoys this state of mind which is called as Brahmi Sthiti. We can call this person as Sthitha Prajna or Jeevan Mukta. What happens? What is the glory of this mind? Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati. Nainam Prapya. Prapya Enam Na Vimuhyati. Prapya Enam. Once attained, having attained this state of mind, Prapya Enam Na Vimuhyati. One is not deluded. Moham Muhyati. From the word Moham comes Muhyati. Muhyati means delusion. So Prapya Enam Na Vimuhyati. Once attained this knowledge, this person is not deluded. Once you attain this state of mind, there is no more delusion, there is no more Moha. Remember in the first chapter, Arjuna had 3 types of problems or 3 types of emotions. Raga, from attachment came Shoka. Shoka is sorrow. From attachment to sorrow, and sorrow resulted in Moha, delusion. So when Bhagavan says there is no delusion, therefore we have to go back and say, and therefore there is no sorrow, and therefore there is no attachment also. So there is no Raga, there is no Shoka, there is no Moha also. In other words, there is no Vishada. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, there is no samsara for this person. In other words, there will be Moha is where there are conflicts in the mind. Here he does not have any conflicts in his mind. Prapya Enam Na Vimuhyati means he will not go back to samsara. Once he attains this knowledge, he will never go back to samsara again. There is no fallback into samsara. So what is this? Bhagavan gives the glory of this jnana saying, this jnana will take a person out of samsara permanently. This is not a temporary solution, it's a permanent solution. This is the first line. Then in the second line he says, Sthitva Syam Antakale Api. Sthitva Api Antakale. Sthitva means being established in this. He enjoys the state of mind called the Jeevan Mukti. Until when? Sthitva Api, being established in this, Antakale. Antakale means even at the time of death. Or rather, as long as he lives in this world, as long as there is prarabdha, he will remain in this state of mind. And then what happens afterwards? What happens to him after this prarabdha is exhausted? The body dies. So what we have to understand here is, if a person is able to attain this state of mind at any age, it does not matter. As long as it is before death, as long as it is within this life, even if he is able to get this jnana one day before the death of this body, that's what Bhagavan wants to mention here, or wants to claim here, which means there is no age barrier to study Vedanta. Some people have this feeling, first, when they are young, they will say, why study now? After all, this is for after retirement. And then once they are retired, they will say, okay, I still have some more time. I still have to take care of my grandchildren and all those things. And then what happens is, once they come, they will say, it is too late for me. I don't think I will be able to understand all these things. This is not for me. It is too late. Bhagavan says it is never too late. Even if we are able to get this jnana one day before the body dies, it's fine. Then at the time of death, what happens? Richati Brahma Nirvanam. He attains, Richati Brahma Nirvana means he attains oneness with Brahman. Nirvana means leaving the body. Brahma Nirvana means being one with Brahman after leaving the body. In other words, he will attain Videha Mukti, which means there will be no Punarapi Jannam, Punarapi Maranam. There is no this birth-death cycle. What happens here? The Stula Sharira, the Sukshma Sharira and the Karana Sharira will merge with the totality. It will merge with the Stula Prapancha, Sukshma Prapancha and Karana Prapancha. And therefore, there is no more birth. There is no, the Jiva will not take another physical body. This is for who? This is for a person who has attained Jnana. In the case of ignorant people, in the case of Ajnanis, what happens? The physical body alone is destroyed and merges with the Stula Prapancha. Then the Sukshma Sharira and the Karana Sharira, the other two bodies, they will have to take another, they will travel and they will take another physical body. In any case, what we have to understand is, Brahma Nirvanam here for a Jnani means freedom from Punarajanma. That is called as Videha Mukti. And Bhagavan says one can attain this knowledge at any time. We can get this knowledge as a youth, as a middle-aged person, or even the fag end of life. As long as you get it before death, moksha is assured, rebirth is discounted. There will be no more rebirths. So some people have this feeling, as I said, I have wasted so many years of my life. What is there to start now? It is too late now. Bhagavan says, do not have this feeling. You can start any time. Just follow, practice sadhana sincerely. So in this sloka, Bhagavan says, Jeevan Mukti is assured, Videha Mukti is assured, and with that, Bhagavan concludes Sthita Prajna Lakshana, or this final topic within this chapter. So with this, Bhagavan concludes this, and actually speaking, there is no more teaching to be done. Bhagavan concludes here. So, Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyo Dhyayah. Om Tat Sat. So any questions or comments so far on this before we move on to the chapter summary. Okay. So now we'll move on to the chapter summary. Yes, Venuji.
Namaste, Guruji. See, my question is how does Advaita or this teaching, the current teaching, different or say the concept of Jeevan? Like, for example, right now you said the Jeevan gets Videha Mukti or Jeevan Mukti, provided he does the sadhana and he lives a life as stated, and it's a Sthitha Prajna, he becomes Mukti actually. So it's evident from what we see. Some people get Jeevan Mukti and some people don't get Jeevan Mukti. So it naturally follows that there are many Jeevans basically. That is, then you have certain Jeevans who get Mukti and some people who don't get Mukti, who are into the samsara, the cycle actually. So how does Advaita, in Advaita we say there is no second, there is nothing second. The Jeevan as a second just doesn't exist. So how is this contradiction explained actually? Thank you.
Okay, good question. So in Advaita there is only Brahman. There is no concept of actually a second thing other than Brahman. But here again we are saying that Jeevan Mukti, which means there are multiple Jivas and there are some Jivas which get Mukti and some Jivas that do not get Mukti. That is the question, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, good question. So first and foremost, the example that we give, it is explained through an analogy. Okay. First and foremost, there is only Brahman. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Jiva Ishvara Naparaha. This is the three cardinal rules of Advaita.
Right.
Now, when we look at Jiva, what we consider as Jiva or what we think ourselves, the problem with the individual Jiva as per Advaita is the false identification. Because we identify ourselves to be this body and mind, therefore the problem arises. This analogy we have explained through what we say as the water or water, ocean and waves. If each of the waves consider itself to be the wave and say, the ocean is so large, I am so small, I have a birth, I have a death, and I am small, the other wave is big, I am a small wave, I am dying, I am actually going up, I am bigger than the other wave. This is the analogy that we give. As long as this wave identifies itself to be the wave, then it has birth, it has death, it has multiple lives. Each time the wave comes and then goes back. The problem is the wave does not identify itself to be water. If it identifies itself to be water, there is no birth for it, there is no death for it.
So basically this samsara is an illusion as long as we identify individually.
Correct. The samsara itself is also an illusion. That's what Advaita says. Even the samsara is an illusion, and that illusion appears to be a reality because you identify yourself to be this body and mind.
Okay. Thank you. I will do Nididhyasana on this. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. We'll start on the summary. So, as in the first chapter, Arjuna's mindset was revealed. And Arjuna's mindset was that he had this raga, shoka, and from there moha. And then the second chapter, in this second chapter actually Bhagavan provides the summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. In fact, whatever we will be seeing from here now on is only in explanation of detail of whatever is coming, whatever has been discussed in the second chapter. The second chapter contains all the important points in a summarized form. And therefore, we can say the second chapter is the summary of entire Bhagavad Gita. In fact, the 18th chapter also, Bhagavan will summarize the entire Bhagavad Gita again. So these two chapters are summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Now coming back to the second chapter has got 72 slokas. And it can be divided into kind of 4 parts. 4 parts. First, from the verse 1 to 10, we can call that to be Arjuna's Sharanagati. The part of between 1 to 10 is Arjuna's Sharanagati. The second part between 11 to 38, we can call that to be this Jnana Yoga. The part of where Bhagavan gives Jnana. And then from 39 to 50.
The first part is 1
to 10.
1 to 10. 1 to 10. Oh, okay. Thanks.
Then 11 to 38 is Jnana Yoga. Then from 39 to 53, it is Karma Yoga. Bhagavan discusses about Karma Yoga predominantly. And then from 54 to 72, the end chapter, Bhagavan, we can call that as Sthitha Prajna portion. The portion where the Sthitha Prajna is discussed. So Arjuna Sharanagati, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga and Sthitha Prajna. These are the 4 parts to the second chapter. Now let's look into the Arjuna Sharanagati. This Arjuna Sharanagati we can probably appreciate only if we remember this, the first chapter, what happened. So because this portion is an extension of the first chapter itself. So here Arjuna discovered, in this second chapter only, Arjuna discovered the problem of samsara. That he has samsara. And where does he discover it? He discovers it in the battlefield. The problem of samsara. The problem of samsara is nothing but raga, shoka, moha. Attachment, sorrow, delusion. Is this only for Arjuna? No. It is for all of us. Do we recognize it? We don't know. We do recognize it at times. Whether we want to come out of it completely, yes. That's why we are attending this class. So raga means this problem of attachment. And as I said, this is not only particular to Arjuna. This is the basic human problem. The object of attachment will vary from individual to individual. One person's object of attachment need not be the other person's same object of attachment. But the problem of attachment is universal. And this is what we call as the fundamental human problem. And Arjuna discovers this problem with its intensity. With its full intensity, he feels it. Kripaya paraya vishtaha. Vyasacharya uses this word. Kripaya means attachment. And once a person is attached, then there is a natural consequence. Any attachment must and will lead to sorrow, grief, vishadaha. And the grief is because of 2 reasons. Why? When we are attached to something, we never want to lose that thing. We want that object or that person or that relation to be with us permanently, eternally, at all times. And we intellectually know that this is against the law of creation, that this is not possible. But we keep forgetting that universal law, and we want the object of attachment to be with us at all times. We do not want to lose that object. We want to try to hold on to that object, and this could be position, power, people, relationship, a situation, could be anything. And once we lose that, we are not able to withstand that loss. That is one reason why we get grief, why we get sorrow. The second reason is imaginary loss. Even in this case, let's take Arjuna's case. Arjuna was intensely attached to Bhishma and Drona. And he had not lost them yet. Bhishma and Drona were very much alive. But he visualizes this war, and he visualizes that the possible death of these people, and he visualizes that he will be alive. He will continue to survive without these people, and therefore with this imaginary loss of Bhishma and Drona, he was not able to withstand it. And he went through this problem of sorrow. Again, not born out of actual loss, but born out of imaginary loss. This is the second reason for our sorrow. In our lives also, even before a particular event might happen, or even before it happens, for all you may know, it may not even happen, but we think about the loss and we grieve over it. This is the second problem of samsara, shoka. Then the third problem is, once the mind is under this grip of attachment and sorrow, raga and shoka, it loses the capacity to judge things properly. It does not have the capacity to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong. It loses its capacity to understand or discriminate between what is dharma, what is adharma. This dharma, adharma, avivekam is called as moha or delusion. There is an incapacity to decide what is the right course of action. And therefore this third problem of samsara is called as moha, or what we say conflict. And the three, raga, shoka, moha, is called as samsara. And Arjuna intensely faced this first chapter. Arjuna says it is not a proper war to fight, and he calls this war as adharma, and he says, I will run from this battlefield. And Arjuna basically gives a solution to himself, tries to solve the problem by himself. Bhagavan does not open his mouth at all. Second chapter also, we get that continuity. Arjuna initially has not surrendered to Bhagavan. Arjuna does not or did not feel the need to seek any external help, and therefore Bhagavan kept silence. He maintained silence. Then Arjuna discovers the problem of his helplessness, which in Sanskritam we call that as karpanya dosha. And until we discover this problem of helplessness, we will never surrender to Ishvara, Bhagavan. We always think that we have the capacity to overcome things. I should have done that way, or this person should not have done that way, and therefore otherwise I would have been able to get over that problem. The problem lies with either me or with the other individual. We never accept the helplessness. And until we accept the helplessness, we will remain in samsara. We will never surrender to Ishvara. We don't surrender. Although in Aarti we say, Dhana Mana Dhana Sab Kuch Tera, I surrender my body, my wealth and everything to you. Mechanically, we do not really surrender. A real surrender, the I is gone. We don't need to say this Tanumana the Sab Kuch Dera in the second day at all. The first day, one day we say that. The second day, we need not say that again. because that we would have surrendered fully. Here Arjuna discovers the helplessness of Karpanyam. Karpanya dosha pakavat swabhavah prichami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha. Arjuna claims, and Arjuna says, I am helpless. And Arjuna, because he is lucky when he had this, Bhagavan was next to him, and Arjuna surrendered to Bhagavan. And therefore, Arjuna's view from that time onwards changed. Initially, he had ordered Bhagavan to take the chariot and bring it in front of the armies. He was Partha, Bhagavan was Sarathi. Now he changed his view. Now he started seeing Bhagavan as his guru. And he considered himself to be Shishya. This is a big change. The problem for us is we may have a guru next to us, but we may not be able to recognize that. So the big change happened in Arjuna's mind. He surrendered his ahankara. He says, Yachreyam syan nishchitam bruhitanme sishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. I am your Sishya. I am surrendering to you. That Arjuna said in Sloka number 7. So he recognized Bhagavan as his guru. He converted himself from the Partha to a Sishya. And he said, I am surrendering. I am not going to suggest any more solutions. I am just going to empty my mind so that you can fill up my mind with your wisdom. The problem for us is always when we come to Vedanta, we come with our own understanding of life, world, Bhagavan, how the world should work, and how I should be treated, and how much I deserve. All those things we come with that notion. But what happens, actually speaking, when we come to Vedanta, we will have to unlearn all those things and fill ourselves with only the knowledge of Vedanta. And to top it all, what we would have done, we would have read all kinds of books, independent philosophies, notions of people, and what people say, how you should actually handle this world, how you should be actually really pushy in this world to get things done. And all those false notions, all those prejudices, all those things come, and we are not willing to let go of them. For us to get real benefit from this knowledge is only when we actually remove all the unlearn everything, and then learn it fresh. That's why in sannyasa ashrama, what they do is, the first thing they do is they shave their head. Shaving the head is actually a figurative representation of removing all the notions that you have got, all the false ideas that we have got. And even when we are listening to this, we filter it with our own prejudices. We are looking to only accept things that actually match our understanding of how the world should be. And as long as we are doing that, that knowledge will not enter and will not give the benefit that it is supposed to give. And then we will blame the Shastras, we will blame the Guru, we will blame the Parampara. That will not work. So the primary sign is to empty the mind. Empty the mind to the Guru and Shastras. What our approach should be, there should be curiosity. There should be eagerness to learn. There is no... Shastras encourage us to ask questions. Clarify doubts. but not do Vidandavada. So anyway, coming back here, this Arjuna, who was the Yajamana, has converted himself to Shishya. Sarathi has become Acharya. And remember, as long as we do not want to learn, even the greatest of gurus may be next to us, but may not be able to help us. Only when we are able to open our mind, only when we are able to do Shashtanga Namaskara, only when we are become humble, only when we indicate the emptiness of our mind, only then this knowledge will go in. Whenever we are finding it difficult to do Namaskara, wherever our culture has indicated do Namaskara and we are against it, it only shows how much of arrogance we have, how much of we do not want to give up our ahankara. The only way we can get this knowledge is only when we actually, this nirmamo nirahankara, Bhagavan said, only when we are able to reduce our mamakara, only when we are able to reduce our ahankara, will this knowledge go in. And this knowledge will completely take it away. But for it to go in first, you will have to reduce it. So Arjuna surrenders and he confirms that he has done complete surrender. And he says that my sorrow cannot be removed by anything else other than your Upadesha. So this we saw. Why did Bhagavan teach Arjuna? There are questions asked. Why did Bhagavan not teach Dharmaputra or Duryodhana? If he had taught Duryodhana, then this war itself could have been avoided. Or why did he not teach Bhishma? Of course, Bhishma was much more qualified. He had more vairagya than Arjuna. The answer is simple. Arjuna did two things. First thing, Arjuna asked. Very simple. Arjuna asked, others did not ask. The second thing is, Arjuna surrendered into a disciple. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Others did not, neither did they ask, nor did they convert themselves into a disciple. Only when a person converts himself into a disciple, the channel of communication between Guru and Shishya opens up. So this is the essence of Arjuna Sharanagati. That is the first topic from Sloka 1 to 10. Now in the second topic from Sloka 11 to 39, this is the central theme of this entire chapter, the main theme, which is known as Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga, or otherwise known as Sankhya Yoga, both are synonymous. So the second chapter is titled Sankhya Yoga. And actually speaking, this Jnana Yoga, as I said, is only between 11 to 25. That portion is extremely important because it has the essence of all Upanishads. 11 to 25, but 26 to 39 is also sort of included in the same topic. If we have to split, we will have to split it into multiple portions, multiple topics, but we have all bundled them as Jnana Yoga. And this 11 to 25, we will have to remember at all times. This is primarily Nididhyasana to understand that I am this Atma Swarupa. We have to keep reading this portion again and again, and we'll have to see Atma as not as a third person, but as me, self, the first person. We'll have to keep reading this portion again and again, because this is the foundation upon which all other chapters are developed. If we are not clear about what this 11, 12 to 25 says about self, about Atma, we will not be able to understand other portions properly. We may be able to understand it, but we will not be able to assimilate them. And how does Bhagavan start his Upadesha? He starts Upadesha saying, Arjuna, and Arjuna who is afflicted by sorrow, who is actually in a state of sorrow, Bhagavan says, Arjuna, there is no reason for sorrow. Asocyan anvashochastvam prajna vadamscha bhashase gatasun na gatasumscha na anusochanti panditaha. He says there is no real reason for sorrow. Or we can take it this way, if there is any reason, the sorrow will continue to remain as long as the reason is there. And Bhagavan introduced the real reason. He introduced the real reason beautifully. He said the real reason is our ignorance. And how did he say that? How did he convey that? He said, a wise man will never feel grief or samsara. A wise man will never feel grief or samsara, which means an ignorant person will always have this grief and samsara. Which means the cause of samsara is ignorance. So thus, Bhagavan gave the Gita Saram in his first Sloka itself, the first Upadesha itself. So if we really ask, what is the primary purpose of Gita? What is the primary purpose of Gita Shastra? Is for removing samsara. Gita Shastra is not about Bhagavan asking Arjuna to fight. Or it is not about, Gita is not about, people say, Gita is about teaching us to lead a life of duties, doing our duties. Yes, it is there, but it is not the primary purpose. The primary purpose of Gita Shastra is to remove us our sorrows, to remove us, take us away from samsara. So, and how do we ascertain that? How do we say that with a clear understanding that the Gita Shastra is about removing samsara and not about asking us to do our duties, or not asking us about to do meditation, or not asking us to do bhakti, or not asking us to do upasana, or not asking us to do, or not asking Arjuna to fight. There is something called upakrama and upasamhara nyaya. In any text, there is something called an introduction and then a conclusion. And whatever is being discussed in that introduction and the conclusion is the central theme or central topic of that particular text. And in Gita Shastra, the 11th Sloka, the first Sloka of Bhagavan clearly mentions that samsara comes out of ignorance. And the real reason for us, the real wise person will not be in samsara. So which means Jnana has to be got, knowledge has to be sought. So from there we can, and same thing in the 18th chapter also, Bhagavan will say Ma Shuchaha. He will say in 18th chapter, Ma Shuchaha means do not grieve. Therefore, he is introducing and concluding this Shastra as a text to, or a lesson, or a Shastra to remove grief. So this is the main theme of Gita Shastra. And then how does he construct this teaching? Bhagavan first starts with Jnana Yoga. And in the Jnana Yoga, and Bhagavan's also another thing that Bhagavan needs to look into is also how to remove Arjuna's sorrow. And Arjuna sorrow can be divided into three types or three possible causes by Bhagavan. The first cause is Bhishma and Drona's Atma die when they are killed. This could be a cause for sorrow, the first cause for sorrow. Arjuna feels that Bhishma's and Drona's Atma could die. And therefore Bhagavan first says this is not a valid reason, because Bhagavan says in Sloka number 12, Natvevaham jatunasham Natvam neme janadipaha Nachayvana bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param. He said, never was there a time when I did not exist. Never was there a time when you did not exist. Never was there a time that all these kings did not exist. Nor in the future shall any of us not be, cease to be. Which means what? He put lots of negatives to say all these people will exist at all times. We were there in the past, we are now there, we will be in future also. And then Bhagavan introduced this Atma and said, or Atma or consciousness that does not get destroyed at any time. It does not die. Atma Nityaha. This is the first teaching of Atma. It is eternal. Therefore, from Atma's standpoint, Arjuna, you need not feel sad. So in this Jnana Yoga topic, Bhagavan basically taught about Atma, but with the underlying message that Arjuna, you need not feel sorrow on this count. Whilst I am teaching about Atma, understand that also that you need not feel sorrow on this count, on this, as this as a reason. And in this portion, Bhagavan talked about Atma Tattva. And all these concepts are borrowed from Upanishads. What are the other features of Atma? And further into summary of the second chapter, we will see it in the next class. Any questions or comments? Okay. If not, then we will see again in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.